The slap of laughter echoed louder than the insult. It wasn't cruel shouting. It wasn't even profanity. It was something worse, polished humiliation wrapped in corporate smiles. Maria froze in the doorway of the executive conference room, her heart dropping into her stomach as she saw her mother on her hands and knees. Her mother, on the floor, cleaning up coffee that wasn't even hers. Maybe if you moved a little faster, Mrs. Alvarez, Mr. Kensington said with a thin smile, adjusting his gold cufflinks. We can't have clients thinking we hire careless people. The room chuckled. Maria's chest burned. Her mother, Elena Alvarez, was 63 years old. She had arthritis in both knees and a back that had carried more weight than any human should, factory shifts, late-night sewing, and the burden of raising Maria alone after her husband died. She worked as a cleaning assistant in the same building where Maria had finally landed her dream internship in marketing. They had promised each other they wouldn't let anyone know they were related. It's just temporary, mija, her mother had said. You focus on your future. But right now, Maria didn't care about futures. She cared about the way her mother's trembling hands struggled to wipe the carpet while executives in $1,000 suits watched like it was entertainment. The coffee spill had come from Mr. Kensington himself. He had knocked it over while laughing at his own joke. Yet somehow it was Elena apologizing. I'm sorry, sir, Elena whispered, dabbing at the stain. Maria stepped forward. It wasn't her. Miss Alvarez, Mr. Kensington interrupted smoothly, eyes narrowing. Interns observe. They don't interrupt. The room went silent. Maria felt heat rise to her cheeks. If she spoke again, she could lose everything she had worked for. Scholarships, loans, years of sacrifice, her mother's aching hands. So she stood there, and hated herself for it. From the back corner of the room, someone else had been watching. David Carter, the janitor. Most people barely noticed him. He worked nights mostly, but today he had been asked to polish the glass walls before an important client meeting. He was 38, broad-shouldered, with tired eyes that carried stories no one asked about. A single father raising an 8-year-old daughter after his wife passed away from cancer. He worked 2 jobs and still found time to braid his daughter's hair every morning before school. He had seen humiliation before. He had felt it, and he had promised himself something the day he held his wife's hand in that hospital room. My daughter will grow up in a world where someone stands up. Even if that someone is me. David stepped forward quietly. Sir, he said evenly, his voice deep but calm. That stain won't come out with napkins. Mr. Kensington didn't even look at him. Then handle it. David walked past Elena and knelt beside her. It's not your job to clean someone else's mistake, he said softly enough for only her to hear. Her eyes lifted to his, confused and embarrassed. Then David did something no one expected. He stood up, walked to the head of the table, picked up the empty coffee cup in front of Mr. Kensington, and placed it firmly back in his hand. With respect, sir, David said, his voice carrying now, you spilled it. The temperature in the room dropped. Excuse me, Kensington's jaw tightened. You spilled it, David repeated calmly. And she's been on her knees for 5 minutes while everyone watches. That's not right. A few executives shifted uncomfortably. Maria's heart pounded so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. Know your place, Kensington snapped. David's expression didn't change. I do know my place. I'm the janitor. I clean messes. But I don't clean up. Disrespect. The silence was deafening. Elena tried to stand quickly. Please, it's okay. It's not okay, David said gently. Kensington laughed coldly. You're risking your job for a cleaning lady. David didn't hesitate. Yes. The word hit the room like a thunderclap. And for the intern you just silenced, he added, glancing briefly at Maria. Because fear shouldn't be part of anyone's job description. Maria felt tears sting her eyes. Kensington stood slowly. You're fired. The word hung in the air. David nodded once. If that's what standing up costs. He bent down, helped Elena to her feet carefully, and handed her a fresh cloth. I've got this, he said. Kensington stormed out, barking orders about HR and security. The meeting dissolved in awkward murmurs. Maria rushed to her mother. Are you okay? Elena nodded, though her eyes were glassy. Why would he do that? Maria looked at David. He simply shrugged. Because my daughter's watching, even when she's not here. By evening, the story had spread through the building. Not because of gossip, because someone had recorded it. One of the junior executives had captured the exchange on her phone. She had posted it anonymously online with a simple caption. When the janitor had more courage than the CEO. By midnight, it had thousands of shares. By morning, millions. The comments flooded in. Protect this man. That's leadership. Fire the boss. The company's board of directors woke up to a public relations nightmare. But more than that, they woke up to the truth. Within 48 hours, Mr. Kensington was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Within a week, he was gone. Not because of the coffee spill, but because the video sparked former employees to speak up. Stories of belittling comments, intimidation, a culture of quiet humiliation. David had simply exposed what was already there. Maria sat in the cafeteria days later when David walked in, still in his uniform. "You're still here?" she asked, stunned. He smiled slightly. "Board decided I demonstrated exceptional integrity under pressure." Their words, not mine. "And my mom," he nodded toward the hallway. Elena walked in, not in her cleaning uniform. In a navy blue administrative blazer. The board had offered her a facilities supervisor position. Higher pay, benefits, respect. Maria burst into tears. Elena hugged her tightly. "You see, Mija, dignity doesn't disappear. Sometimes it just waits for someone brave enough to defend it." David shifted awkwardly, not comfortable with praise. Maria looked at him. "Why did you really do it?" He thought for a moment. "Because my little girl asked me something last week," he said quietly. She said, "Daddy, what does brave mean?" He swallowed. "I want her to see the answer." Weeks later, Maria was offered a full-time position in the company's marketing department. Her first campaign proposal, "Leadership is what you do when no one is watching." It featured stories of employees across all levels who showed integrity. At the campaign launch event, David stood in the back, uncomfortable in a borrowed suit. Maria spotted him and walked to the microphone. "There are titles," she said to the crowd. "And then there is character. Titles can be given, character is chosen." She looked directly at David. "And sometimes the person cleaning the floors is the one who cleans the conscience of an entire company." The room erupted in applause. David felt his phone buzz. A message from his daughter. "Daddy, my teacher showed us the video. You're my hero." He wiped his eyes quickly. Not because he was embarrassed, but because for the first time in a long time, he felt something stronger than exhaustion. He felt proud. Humiliation had walked into that conference room, disguised as power, but it walked out defeated by courage. Because it only takes one person to stand up. One voice to say, "This isn't right." One ordinary man to remind everyone what extraordinary looks like. And sometimes, the hero of the story isn't the one sitting at the head of the table. It's the one holding the mop.